Media.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to The Fringe. I've always said that it's time to hold politicians accountable whenever things happen that deem it necessary to do so. But I will also say that when it comes time to address smear campaigns, that I also am willing to go to bat for those politicians, especially when they've been doing their job to ensure that Canadians are getting a fair share. Who am I talking about? Well, the only politician who seems to think that way, Premier Danielle Smith, who is now under attack over an Alberta Health Services scandal, we'll say, that's going on. This is nothing more than a smear campaign. I'm going to get into that today. I want to show you guys here a post from Dwayne Bratt saying, Premier Smith remains silent as calls for resignation grow louder following AHS political interference allegations. What are we talking about? I'm going to get into that. We're going to actually highlight an article that's come out from Rick Bell. These guys are hilarious because I've talked about Rick Bell. I've talked about Don Braid. We're going to show him as well. These are journalists in Calgary that they flip-flop. Whenever Danielle does something good, they're happy to praise her. Whenever she does something and Naheed Nenshi gets his panties in a twist, well, they're really quick to release the hounds, so to speak. Let's take a look at this article. Big allegations. Danielle Smith, come out wherever you are. She has. We're going to get into that statement as well. We have questions. We have no answers. It is said we will hear from Alberta Premier Danielle Smith next Saturday on her radio show. Nope, that's a lie. She's actually addressed this. February 15th. This column is being written February 7th. All this scribbler wanted from the Premier was something seen as simple under normal circumstances. Just tell us the story is not true. Just react to these allegations. Tell us something. What I was asking for exactly was the Premier asked the government on the day of when she was the leader of the opposition, Wild Rose and those in power faced allegations of wrongdoing. These allegations in the Globe and Mail are true, are worse than anything connected to former Premier Alison Redford. So already they're drawing straws to compare her to Alison Redford and her government flights and her plans for a taxpayer-funded Sky Palace, self-entitled behavior leading her to exit the province's job, saying mistakes were made. Besides, in the past, Danielle Smith has never been shy in taking on stories she considered false or unfair or needing more probing. This is one thing I love about the internet age, is that if you don't come out immediately and say something, we want the answers right now, or else it's true, or else we're going to believe what's being said. We're not going to wait for information. We're not going to wait for investigations. We're not going to wait for due diligence or due process, right? It's torches and pitchforks. What are the allegations, or at least the slimmed down version? So here it is. If you're out of Alberta, if you don't know what's going on, I'll break it down for you. Alberta Health Services boss Antha Metsanopoulos investigates AHS contracts and purchasing practices. When she tells the AHS board about what she's found, they tell her to go to the RCMP. 2 days before the AHS boss is set to meet the province's financial watchdog to talk about what she has found, she is fired. That's false. We're going to get into that. So goes the allegation. So, of course, they have to say this to protect themselves from defamation. The AHS boss, now out the door, sends a letter to the AHS board. It is a lengthy letter and alleges many things, like government officials, including Danielle Smith's then right-hand man, Marshall Smith, putting pressure on the AHS to sign deals for private surgical facilities, despite concerns around the amounts of the contracts and questions around the ownership. Also alleged. I love how they have to keep stating that. This is how you know it's a smear campaign. Senior Smith government officials, including Health Minister Adriana Lagrange, were aware of what the AHS boss uncovered, and the health department told her to wind up her investigation and give the government the files. The now punted AHS boss also says she investigated the relationship and contracts with MH Care. MH Care and companies affiliated with Sam Mraish has done $600 million plus in business with AHS. Those are the people importing generic pain medication from Turkey for the province's health authority, and for those who paid attention, that's the whole other story. Not long after the letter with all the allegations, the AHS board is fired. Well, they were fired for reasons pertaining to the COOF, pertaining to being a crown corporation. there's a lot of gears in this intricate puzzle. It wasn't just because they found this watchdog letter. Now we get the province's financial watchdog, also known as the Auditor General, taking a look at purchasing and contracts at Health Ministry and HHS. The last great Auditor General in Alberta had a nickname that said it all: Fred Get It Done. Don't hold your breath on this investigation, but then again, we could be surprised. Again, they're trying to correct course that, hey, we're going to come out and have a smear campaign, but just in case everything's sewn up and put in a neat little package, we're going to save face here so that we can kiss Danielle Smith's butt later. The Alberta Health Services is doing its own look-see, and since AHS and the Auditor General are on the case, the provincial government's health ministry says it can't say much. Can't say much except to say the fired AHS boss has it all wrong about why she got the heave-ho. But get this. The new boss of AHS, who does not answer to the board because there is no board, because the board was just punted, is also number 2 in the provincial government's health department. What's important to remember as we go through all this, if you're not in Alberta, former devastating premier, Rachel Notley, the sheriff of Nottingham, her husband, the head of QP, the head of unions, one of the heads, Danielle Smith was sick of the partisan politics with the unions, with boards, with corrupt officials. She said, we need to privatize things. We need to branch out so that Canadians can get doctors, so that if they wish to pay for services, they can have them. There's, again, now I'm just breaking it down in cliff notes. There's very intricate gears in this puzzle, many of which people could say, you're right, you're wrong. I'm not getting into all that today. I'm talking about necessarily what is being dug up here is that this is unions having influence over journalists, over the public, to try and put pressure on so that people like Naheed Nenshi, who are backed by QP, look so much better and get all the support that they need. On social media, the lawyers for MH Care say the claims and insinuations made against their client are based on a flawed perspective and are contrary to substantiated evidence, and their client acted properly at all times. There will be no further comment. It would be reasonable to assume even more details will come out. Perhaps the premier is going to be available a week from now, again, as she's out in D.C. trying to be the real Team Canada, to try and play to make sure that we're not getting tariffs. In stories like this one, you aren't usually given the whole enchilada in one bite. This story faces a problem. People are more easily scandalized when the story doesn't have any moving parts, doesn't need as much explanation. Bang, people did this or did that, outrage. But if the allegations have any merit, we're talking big dollars and the possible involvement of individuals deep inside the government. Some Smith supporters have already contacted this scribbler and said that this is a conspiracy by evil forces to discredit the government. Of course it is. On the other side, Alberta NDP leader Naheed Nenshi says that if allegations are true, it shows the government wants power because it's actually about the money. Isn't it funny that when they come out saying this is what they're doing, that's usually what they want to do? Says that's why we need Premier Smith to surface. In this case, silence does not pass the smell test. Danielle Smith has said something. We're going to get into that. What's funny is you've got all these people smearing Danielle Smith. I mean, here's Don Braid down here. Health contract allegations could be worse scandal since Alison Redford. UCP is shutting down voices by firing people. It's old habit. This scandal might require a full public inquiry. Column Calgary Herald, blah, blah, blah. So he's quoting the article. Here's Jason P. You were just effing calling her a hero like 36 hours ago. You're a shill. Like, this shows the hypocrisy. What's funny is that this person who was let go was told that this was a restructuring. I'm gonna open up this article because it does state the letter here. I believe that was going on as to the reasons this person was let go. So right now, Alberta Health Services says it is now conducting a review of its procurement procedures related to matters raised by its former CEO. In the interim, we've paused the awarding of any contracts involving the parties that are involved in this review. So nobody's getting any money anyways. So it doesn't have the reasons here. I apologize. Let's take a look at what Naheed Nenshit had to say, because it shows Danielle Smith's statement here. So here's Nenshi saying, well, first let's do her statement, because here's Nenshi. We'll show the hypocrisy of Nenshi. I've read various media stories containing allegations regarding the procurement and contracting process of Alberta Health Services. They are troubling allegations and they should be reviewed as quickly as possible. To that end, I will be writing Auditor General Doug Wiley to ask for an expedited review and his findings on this issue. So again, she's going through due process. I've also directed my officials to ensure that any request for information from Mr. Wiley and his official office is dealt with on a fully transparent and expedited basis. So again, she wants it public. She's not hiding anything. We need to get to the bottom of this issue quickly and identify any potential wrongdoing, correct it, and address it appropriately. I've also asked that AHS's internal review be completed as quickly as possible and delivered directly to me so we can study the results and make improvements or adjustments to these processes. Until these findings are delivered, AHS has paused the contracting for surgical facilities under review. As Premier, I was not involved in any wrongdoing. Any insinuation to the contrary is false, baseless, and defamatory. I love that she's putting defamatory in this. I hope she goes after every single person that's trying to smear her to get her out of office here. It's no secret I've been unhappy with the level of quality and service delivered by AHS and in the inability of AHS to deliver quality and timely health care to Albertans. I will continue to relentlessly push forward to make improvements. Although that has required difficult decisions and major change, I do not accept the current results. There is a widespread and deep-seated resistance to change, that which must be overcome. That's my goal, better healthcare for all. I mean, that's a pretty bold statement. And it's one that shows that she knows what she's talking about. She's not taking the bait here. She's not feeding into the rage bait. What you've got Naheed Nenshit doing is coming out saying 4 days it took her to say anything. And then she says she will do nothing. No, it says that she's expediting the process and she wants it to be transparent and done as quickly as possible. He says that's not good enough. Her own office is implicated. This investigation can't be delivered to the people being investigated. How dumb does she think Albertans are? Well, maybe ask the government who investigated the government during the Emergencies Act and found that the government did nothing wrong. So again, at a bare minimum, we need an RCMP investigation, full public inquiry. All those implicated must step aside during the inquiry. So he's asking that since Danielle Smith is implicated, she step aside. This is just, what's funny is that he's not even sitting in the legislature. He's no different than Mark Carney. He's an outsider. And he's telling her to step aside so that, he can bowl his way into the legislature. Former AHS staff and board members must be freed from any gag orders, right? Because that's the best thing during a time when they're doing an investigation, is just allow people to speak freely and spread more false information out there for other people to absorb. It's all partisan. Albertans expect no less. Premier, it's time to face the music. Somebody should tell Nenshi, he's full of crap. What's funny is you've got other folks, like Sheldon Yakachuk, who, by the way, is running for a seat in Calgary's one of Calgary's councillor ridings. It says, how odd, filing the task force report and the failings of Alberta Health Services, Nenshi is calling for an investigation into the Premier instead of being concerned with the actual fact-based report. I mean, Bradshaw coming out, a good friend of the channel. How dumb do you think Albertans are to believe a word you say? Do you have QP Alberta helping you with your smear campaign? Again, they're mad about the unions and how this affects the unions. You literally were found guilty of buying your way into the NDP leadership and nothing happened. Corrupt much, says Jack Dan, good friend of the channel. Good friend again, Shadow Davis. Dude, your party is the most corrupt entity out there. I would suggest you sit down and shut up. I mean, the comments, the ratio is hilarious. The NDP leader Nenshi claims that Danielle Smith will do nothing, but attached the statement by the Premier, which states, to the end, I will be writing the Auditor General to ask for an expedited review and findings on this issue. As I said, this is the hypocrisy of this whole smear campaign. I understand that it's at a standstill right now. A lot of people are going to say this is a nothing burger, but the reason I wanted to showcase this is because this is what happens when you look at what's happening in the United States right now with Doge, with big balls, with everything going on auditing the government. Anytime you push against the machine, this is what's going to happen. And we've already seen it in the federal government blaming Danielle Smith for not playing nice, not sacrificing oil and gas so that they could be propped up and look good fighting with Donald Trump. But now they're going interprovincial to say that Danielle Smith is corrupt, that she's ruining Alberta Health Services, that she's giving out contracts and firing people because harmful reports are coming their way. This is all just a load of bullshit. It's really just a story that needed to be shared to say, look, she's not resigning. She's not going to step down. Part of the reason she's took 4 days to release that statement, she wanted facts. She wanted information. She wanted to show people she's not taking the bait. She's not going to jump in. She's actually off dealing with things that actually matter right now, not partisan politics in order for Naheed Nenshi to bulldoze his way into the legislature. But let me know what you guys think, because I know there's been a lot of people asking if we were going to cover this here on the channel. Let me know what you think down below. Do you believe that Danielle Smith is corrupt? Do you believe that she had her hands in this and knew what she was doing? Or do you believe that this is nothing more than an entitled smear campaign against the UCP? Let me know your thoughts down below. Again, if it's your first time here, I hope this video has earned your subscription. Make sure as you're hitting that button, click your bell for notifications. Join me live here on the channel. Let me know if you're going to join us this Friday for Friday Night Fringe, our live streaming show where we talk about everything that's happened this week in politics, everything coming up in the week ahead, as well as some back and forth within our wonderful community, joined by my beautiful wife, Mrs. Fringe. We look forward to hearing what you guys have to say each and every Friday night. We look forward to hearing what you have to say this Friday night, starting at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, here on the channel. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this video and have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you on the next one.